Hey, Richard here again. Thanks for joining me in the first step to stop procrastinating. This is going to be great, and I hope you love what this stuff's going to do for you. In this video, you'll learn why you procrastinate in the first place. As I said, it'll be a bit of an unusual process, but by the end of the video, you'll know why. First, I'm going to give you 4 special instructions to use this program. This material deals with changing habits, so it requires some special instructions in order to work at all. Number 1 is to make it your own. I strongly suggest you get out a good old paper notebook and pen and start taking notes. Condense the program so that it's easy to study, then rewrite it again. Condense it to only 1 or 2 pages so that it's easy to remember and it's also easy to do. Then take the notes that you think will be hard for you to remember or notes that you think are most important, maybe only a handful of sentences, and post them in a note that you'll read every morning, maybe on your refrigerator. You only need to do this for a month or 2 until you remember it by heart. At that point, it'll feel like it's your own, like it's more a part of you. In step 2, I'll be showing you a special way of changing the way you think and the way you react to things in everyday life. They're called implementation intentions, and they'll be very useful to you, so watch out for them. Number 2, apply the system to change your habits. This system's not for you if you aren't willing to change your work habits a bit. Procrastination is a habit, and anybody who tells you that they have the magic pill to curing it overnight is probably lying to you. It's a habit, and it needs some time to be stopped. And you need some time to create new good habits as well. Now, I'm going to give you the exact steps you need to make new work habits over the next month or so, and make sure that you don't need to worry about procrastinating again. So don't worry about that. This system is designed to be brief, easy to remember, easy to implement, and complete. As in, it's designed to take care of your habit for you, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. All you have to do is to make sure that you apply the system over the next few weeks. Here's the habit curve. As you can see, you have to put the most effort into creating a habit in the very beginning, but it quickly gets much easier. I'll be giving you strategies to use so that your mind doesn't put up much resistance as well. Remember that improvement is gradual. These strategies may be ineffective the first few times. You may forget to use them. This is a normal part of the learning curve, though. A bit of trust and interest in the strategy is needed for it to start working naturally. Number 3, don't fall into a false sense of success. You may have an initial spike in concentration because you're excited about the system. It's happened to me many times before, so I know how it works. You get lulled into a false sense of success prematurely, and then you get disappointed and quit when you fail a few times. As I said, the first week of changing your habits will be the hardest. Your mind will generate all kinds of excuses that will want you to stop. Maybe you've experienced this before. This is just what happens when you try to change a habit, though. It's natural. Don't debate with your thinking because you can't have a rational debate with your emotional mind. The best you can do for now is completely ignore it and focus on your new plan, and you'll see that your need to procrastinate slowly goes away. After you do it consistently every day, it will get easier and easier as your emotional mind sort of learns. Number 4, don't work yourself to the bone using these techniques. That's not what this program's about. It's about balance between work and play. In fact, that balance is what will allow you to become successful. It will not teach you how to work 16 hours a day. I don't believe anybody can produce high quality work when they work 16 hours a day and leave no time for rest and leisure. I work about 5 hours a day when I work hard, then I totally detach from work afterward. You might be happy to know that making sure you get leisure time in is essential to curing your procrastination. So that's it for the instructions. Now I'm about to show you why you procrastinate, why you get distracted when it's time for work, and the reasons why you can't focus every day and work towards goals you have. I'm excited for you because when I first learned this stuff, it opened up a new world of possibilities for me, and I think that it could possibly do the same thing for you. First, it's important to know where this information comes from and why it works so well. Big businesses and academic institutions are very interested in preventing procrastination because, as you can imagine, procrastination causes the loss of a lot of production, so there's a lot of funding for research. So this isn't a motivational speech that will get you all pumped up to do work today. It's more about the psychology of procrastination and the real applicable things you can do right now to diffuse procrastination at the root. We now know that procrastination is a certain process, and there are common roots to this process in everybody who experiences it, though it's slightly different for everybody. Now let's get into why you procrastinate. As I said, the way I'm going to do it is a bit unusual. I'm going to go through an exhaustive list of the reasons people procrastinate with you. all the known reasons that people procrastinate. This works because you'll be able to see yourself in this list and see why you procrastinate. It's easy to listen to the list of reasons in this video and write down the ones that apply to you. Just keep in mind that not all of the reasons will apply to you. I'm also going to be giving you a list in PDF form taken from the transcript so that you can read through them if you prefer. I'll write the time that the list starts and ends in this video. I'll write it right below the video so you can jump back into the video after the list is over and you finished with the PDF version. For most of the people who have already gone through this course, the real reasons they procrastinate are hidden, and they usually have a bit of an epiphany when they go through this list of reasons. So remember to be honest with yourself, be open-minded about what might be causing your problem, take your time and do a bit of soul searching here. And write down anything that you can relate to. So typical reasons for procrastination fall into 3 broad categories, but they manifest in your life in different, subtle ways. The 3 categories are resentment, fear of success, and the fear of failure, which is the most common by far. First, procrastination can be due to resentment. For example, taking away freedom in a job, for example, from people who think they are smart and capable can cause them to resent it, which causes them to put work off. So in the workplace, you may procrastinate when your job is too strict and you're not free to do what you think is right, when you don't see the significance of what you're doing, when you don't get much feedback about your work, or when you just feel frustrated or bored with a task. Some people procrastinate to gain control, such as a request to do chores. They put it off because it puts them in control of the situation instead of listening to whoever asked them to do the chores. So is your procrastination a response to a lack of control, like a bit of a rebellion for you? Or maybe you feel like you're rebelling against pressure put on by yourself. When a job is simply hard to do or progress is slow, you might procrastinate because you don't feel the immediate rewards are worth it. Even though long-term rewards might be huge, the short-term rewards, such as enjoying the job itself, aren't any good. So it really sucks your motivation dry. Next, when hard work is motivated by a goal that isn't aligned with their interests, people will eventually develop a dislike or even a hatred for the work. For example, a college major or post-graduation job that doesn't match a student's real interests, a job that conflicts with personal morals or ethics, a job that doesn't meet certain things that a person expected. It can be very disappointing when something is less than you expected, and you probably won't feel motivated to work. Do you see yourself in any of these causes of procrastination? Moving on to the next cause of procrastination, here's how a fear of success can cause you to procrastinate. A fear of success typically happens because one of 3 reasons. You may have to choose between advancement and friends. You think continuing success may lead to future problems like having to move or having to learn to do a new job. Or you might not want success at all if it means more responsibility and more demands. And last, here's how a fear of failure causes procrastination. Procrastination actually defends against the bad feeling you get when you think you might fail at something. It prevents you from facing the fear, and that's why we do it. It's hard to notice when you're doing this because when you procrastinate, you often get away from bad feelings quickly, and a feeling of relief follows quickly. By the way, I hope you don't take the word fear the wrong way. I'm not necessarily saying you're afraid of anything. Another way to put it might be an aversion. It's simply something that you don't want, something that you push away from yourself. A study from the Journal of Sports Psychology in 2001 by Conroy listed 5 dimensions to the fear of failure. We'll use them to break down the fear of failure. Dimension 1, the fear of shame and embarrassment. Here's some examples of what you might experience. Rather than focus on the work itself, you think about what others might think of you if something doesn't work out. You focus on what you'll have to tell your family and friends if something doesn't work. You're generally afraid to make mistakes. Dimension 2 is devaluing your own ability. In your heart, you don't think you have the skill to do something to standard or as well as somebody else. You constantly compare your work to others' work. You believe habits, talent, and intelligence are completely inborn and permanent and unchanging. Dr. Richard Beery, a psychologist from the University of California at Berkeley, has observed that people who fear failure may also have these beliefs. For example, you feel what you produce is a direct reflection of how much ability you have, and your level of ability determines your worth as a person, so what you produce reflects your worth as a person. Here's how this causes you to procrastinate. You believe your current ability is your worth as a person, so you put work off till the last minute so that you always have the excuse that you didn't put in much effort anyway, and I did it at the last minute, so imagine how good it would be if I did try. And your true skill is hidden. You put work off to hide your true ability because you're afraid to discover how low it might be, so you never try with your full effort because you're afraid to fail, and this protects your self-worth. Dimension 3 is the fear of an uncertain future. You find it hard to make decisions, maybe. You have a general tendency to get stuck on pause whenever you feel uncertain about doing something. You overcomplicate the issue of where to start. You try to work through every possible scenario before you start, or you try to do it all yourself rather than delegate and outsource to others because you can only be 100% confident in yourself. Therefore, you get less done, or your own goals and values are vague. Dimension 4 is simply the fear of upsetting others who are important to you, and Dimension 5 is the fear of those important others losing interest in you. You think more about the things others are passionate about rather than what you're passionate about, maybe. You constantly think what others might think of your work. You have trouble asserting yourself when others challenge your thinking, or you don't challenge the thinking of others at all. There are also several common causes of the fear of failure that are worth mentioning here. Being overextended, for example, can cause procrastination because it creates a fear of failure. Is it humanly possible to accomplish all the things you want to accomplish at the same time? Maybe you need to cut down your obligations and focus on one thing at a time. Being a perfectionist can also trigger the fear of failure. A person who has inflated expectations is more likely to procrastinate. But there are two types of perfectionists. The first are adaptive perfectionists who perform to their high standards, and the second are called maladaptive perfectionists who also have high standards but are equally concerned with making mistakes. Procrastinators are usually the second kind. Ask yourself these questions. The better you get at something, do you eventually hope to become perfect? Or do you hope that you'll reach some ideal? Would you feel more valuable as a person if you achieve this ideal? Is it important for you to produce something that's flawless? If what you produce might be less than the best, do you feel like it's not even worth trying? If you answered yes to any of these questions, perfectionism could be causing you to put off work. Next, there are two mindsets that typically separate prolific people from people who find it hard to get work done, and it's in how they cope with failure. A psychologist at Stanford named Carol Dweck identified two mindsets people have based on her research with coping with failure. The first one is the fixed mindset. People with this mindset believe that intelligence and talent are inborn, permanent, and unchanging. The next is the growth mindset. These people believe that abilities can be developed with hard work and effort, and that if they can't do something, they just need to learn a new skill. They believe that it doesn't matter if you fail, it just matters how fast you pick yourself back up again. People with a fixed mindset tend to procrastinate a lot more because they're worried about whether or not their current ability is enough, and they don't focus on just doing the thing and improving it at all. They may believe that they're born procrastinators, and they might fear failing because they feel like they have no control over the quality of their work. People in the growth mindset, on the other hand, believe that ability can change drastically if a bit of effort is put in over time, and the quality of the work can be improved with just a bit more effort. People in this mindset tend to go ahead with tasks even though they're hard, simply because they believe making their best effort is what is valuable in the end. I'll be talking more about mindset and how to change yours later on, so look out for that. Now you've completed step 1 to curing your procrastination, and you should know what's triggering yours. If not, go back over the reasons again. In some cases, it takes a day or two to realize what's triggering your procrastination. Tomorrow you might do something and think back to this video and you'll say to yourself, oh, that's why I was putting that off. If you still have not found reasons by then, the next step is designed to investigate even deeper, so you can move on for now. Next, you'll find out how you procrastinate. I'll explain what that is and how to do it, and we'll move out of this theory stuff and onto the application of actual strategies you can use to stop procrastinating. So go ahead and watch Module 1, Part 2 right now.